Well, hello, and welcome to ZBrush Live. This is Kermaco Mech Sculpting, and I think I changed the title, but I don't know if it's showing up. So, if you guys can hear me and see my screen, please let me know on the chat. You can leave it as a comment in any one of the three channels, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Okay, so like, subscribe, do all that stuff. If you have any questions, you can ask during the stream, and I'll try and answer it to the best of my knowledge. And if you have questions, if you're watching this after the fact, you can always leave them in the comments, and hopefully somebody will get back to you. If not me, somebody from Maxon. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, looks like everything looks good. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so I've had a rough couple of weeks, but I did have some time to work on this a little bit more on the legs and a little bit more on the torso. Just popping out some pieces and doing some refinements. I think today I'm going to work on all the different guns and just tertiary detail items, and then these windows, etc. So we're going to spend some time on that. And also I might do a tangent today, and it's going to be on how to make these things, which are these kind of tents, or I don't know, maybe like some camouflage or something that it carries with it. Tanks always have these kinds of things on them. So, yeah. All right, so everybody can hear me well, I guess. I'm hoping. Looks like Bad Cat says yes, and Bad Cat's on YouTube. So anybody else on Twitch, if you could chime in, that would be incredibly cool. And so we can get started here. All right, these I kind of have not placed. They're just randomly placed here, but I can do those later. Okay, so YouTube again, and Twitch is good. All right, so fantastic. There's quite a few of you on here. Let's go ahead and get started. Before I go ahead and get started, just to let you know, if you want to watch the progression of this, and some reasoning behind all the different things, you can watch the episodes on YouTube. They're there, so if you go to the Maxon or ZBrush live channel, you can just search for my name, and then these will come up. All right. Zephyrus Prime, has there been anything in 2023 that has helped my workflow? Absolutely, many things. Well, actually, good thing you bring that up, because I also wanted to let everybody know that there is a new version of ZBrush that just shipped, and I'll just kind of minimize this so you can see it. It's ZBrush 2023.1.1. So a bit of an update a few weeks ago. I think maybe a week ago, and I think they fixed a bunch of bugs and whatnot. So make sure you grab it. Of course, if you are subscribed, you can just click on download, and if you are a perpetual user, you can still go to the Maxon app and just download it and install it. I think, so I just kind of want to get that out of the way. Sergio, thank you very much. And then let's talk about 2023. Has it improved my workflow? Absolutely. There are some things that are indispensable. Like having Redshift in here is really great. So I don't know if you guys saw the title image, the promo image. I'll just bring it back up again. This thing was rendered in Redshift, so the ability to be able to do this right out of ZBrush is really helpful. I mean, I still use Keyshot as well, and so, but it's has its advantages. Definitely, it's a more I don't know what the best way to say it is, but it's kind of been around a bit longer, so it has more capabilities that I might need. But there's also a third option, which is I can go right to Gaussian to Cinema 4D, and then take it into Redshift, and then render it in Redshift in there, and that gives me mature properties as well. The good news is rendering in ZBrush, there's so many options, and they're all good. So that has been a big deal. Another thing that's been a big deal is some of the masking stuff. So this mask region is super useful, and it's one of those things where you just wonder how you got along without it, and the way that works. And I'll just kind of show it off here real quick. And I don't want this to turn into a Maxon demo per se, but I will definitely answer that question because it's a good one. I think a lot of people are wondering about it. So just give me a minute here. I need to load a masking brush that I made. Just well, why is this? Okay, here we go. This one right here. Let's go ahead and skip that. Yep. So this masking brush just basically doesn't apply, pressure doesn't apply to it. So if you mask an area like this, like instead of painting out all the inside or whatever, so you can just, oops, didn't want to do that. You're just masking, let's say, something like that or whatever, and you can just say, oh, auto region, and it will determine what to fill. And I don't know why it went that direction, but let's say I do this, mask by region, it does that, and then you just invert it and you get that. But yeah, I don't know what part I'm working on. Here we go. So like if you do something like, if I just want to mask this area like this, you can just kind of outline it. Right, and then instead of filling in the inside, you can just say analyze region and then fill region, and it will, here we go, fill it in for you. So that's kind of invaluable for me. That's definitely something that I got the perpetual license for, because that's a feature I cannot live without. So whatever I'm doing, I need that capability. It's important. And then there's just a bunch of other stuff too, like what was that thing where you kind of create kind of tendrils between one place and another. I forget what it's called, but let's see. Actually, let me just do something real quick here. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything, because I really wasn't thinking of talking about this, but I will definitely do that. Oh yeah, so the mask region is good, and then also they made updates to the ZRemesher. I think ZRemesher is a lot better now. So when you go to ZRemesh something, there is the retry option, so it doesn't take as long to ZRemesh, and I think the ZRemesher works a little bit better. Slime bridge, that's what it's called. Slime bridge is kind of a cool thing where you can just mask two areas and it'll create kind of a slime bridge between them. I mean, it's not critical, but all the previous stuff are for me. Dynamic symmetry, oh my god, yeah, how could I forget that one? So dynamic symmetry is really super useful. One other thing is that I also do UVing in ZBrush, and the ability to crease edges to cut them and then create the UVs, that's really useful too. So all in all, yeah, I definitely think ZBrush 2023 has helped my workflow, and just like every other version of ZBrush that I've used, it's always super when they come out with a new version, there's always stuff that I always wonder how I lived without. Uh-oh, my voice is kind of going, so hopefully it doesn't go for the stream. Otherwise, it'll be quiet and we can just maybe play some music or something. Okay, so Zephyrus, I guess, Prime. Hopefully that answered your question. If you have any questions about that, let me know. But yeah, definitely worth it. I have both. I have a perpetual license and I also have a subscription. I just, ZBrush is the tool that I use all the time, so I'm kind of in both fields. And I don't know, it'll come up. I mean, I don't want to sound like a advertisement here, but I think they are having some sort of a sale, so you might want to check that out on ZBrush and all this stuff. Okay. So with that out of the way, let's go over and start working on this. So I just kind of thought I'd create a border here in the front of the cannons. So I did that. but I also want to create an area where you know, these kind of things, maybe there's like a paneling or whatever and it comes off, and I did that for this and it looks pretty good. So I'm going to do something similar here where if they want to remove this, they can. And there's like a handle or something to remove it. Okay, so trying to establish what the best place for this would be. And let's go to clip curve here. Just so I can straighten out those edges a bit. And I'm kind of taking a little bit of a different approach. I'm not really building this thing up as I usually do. I'm taking a new approach, kind of learning a little bit from what Marco is doing by sculpturally creating these things and not really caring about the fact that they're precisely modeled or have good topology or anything like that. I'm just kind of going for just basically the design of this, and then if they want to use it in something, then they'll have to retopo some of the parts. I don't think I'm going to do it in the stream unless you guys want me to, in which case you know, I'll give it a good try. It shouldn't be that hard. All right, so I'm just kind of creating like a border for these windows. And I'm going to hide the windows themselves for a minute. I've kind of started putting things in folders, but I still haven't done the naming. Do that with hitting N. Where are you, windows? That's not them. Has to be here somewhere. Here we go. Right, and then I'm just going to hide them for a minute and go back to here. Yeah, and I kind of wanted to punch these through so you can see the people, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't feel like retoping this thing, and maybe I can just delete the polygons. Let me try that. Let me just create a straight surface in there. I think I'm going to use one of the polish drives, trim front, maybe that'll do it. So I want to show a really kind of cool feature. I want to be on the plane that this is on, and I want the camera to be on that plane. So what I'm going to do is hit W, click here. Okay, and that basically puts this at a normal of that. And if I go to a to ZModeler and go to plane, I can hit spacebar and it's coming to point. This is pretty dense, so I need to zoom in a little bit. Hit spacebar when it's on a plane, and then say set camera perpendicular. Okay, so now I know that this is set perpendicularly to the camera, and now if I go to trim front and I start doing this, I know that it's going to be based on the plane of the camera. So what I'm trying to do is just get a planar surface that I'm going to select in a minute and cut out. So notice here that some of this surface is nothing's happening over here, and that's because it needs to be pulled out. Now that's happening in a color because I've got RGB on, but it's no big deal. I can just go ahead and turn RGB off and then just fill this with I'm just going to go to, it's white anyway, so fill object, and yeah, we have what we need. So yeah, I'm just basically creating a planar surface here. I just kind of ruined it a little bit in this area, so I'll just kind of straighten it out a little bit like that, and then just go to trim front again. And again, just kind of get as much of a straight surface as I can. Give it a little bit of polish. Okay, so now I'm going to polygroup this based on perspective, I want that. And this has subdivision levels? It does. Let me go down one subdivision level. And I'm going to polygroup this by flat. So polygroup, flat island, and let's just do this. Okay, there we go. And then if I go up one, there it is. And if I want to punch a hole through this, I don't want these jaggies. So what I'm going to do here is, let me just isolate this thing too. So it's just its own thing. And I never really thought I was going to keep this, but I guess I am keeping it now. And just sculpting on it. So there's that. And then what I want to do is drop some group loops on it. And I'll just do that in the menu. Go over here, geometry, edge loop, group loops, and maybe just, let's do a 1. And let's drop the polish down a little bit. Triangles are not okay. Group loops. Oh, that's right. This has subdivision levels. I guess I can get rid of the lower ones for now. So delete lower, and then group loops over here. There they are. And let's see how well it did it. I mean, it's okay, but it's got jaggies. So I think I'm going to up that polish a bit more. Let's see what that gives us. Still have jaggies, and maybe add 3 loops here. This is kind of a trick that I do. Try that. Okay, so here, this is a little bit better. There still are jaggies, but the jaggies are more towards the outside, and the inside part has kind of less of those jaggies. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to delete this polygroup. Like so. Oops. Polygroup island. So that one's gone. Okay, so now we can see the inside. And then I'll start kind of, since I've got a few edge loops around here, I can just focus on that area. Kind of should have done this with the lower subdivision levels, but then I would have lost some of the sculpted details. I don't want to do that. Here we go. Oops, didn't want to add an edge loop there. Let's get closer. All right, so let's delete this edge loop, this one, and I think that's good enough. And then what I'm going to do here is mask this whole other outside area. Mask. Oh, it's edge. It's be a polygon. So what I want to do is mask, polygroup, island, this one, and press W to just move these. Oh. There's other polygroups here. That's weird. All right, we'll fix that in a minute. But this problem is easily solvable. I'll just block, select these. So there's only the ones I want, which I just want to push in a little bit, just to kind of give it a kind of a semblance of there being some sort of a thicker plate over here. And then I really don't have geometry to support what I need here, so I'm going to go ahead and insert some edge loops to do that. So insert and multiple edge loops, and I'll set it to interactive and just do this. Oops. Click on an edge. Why it's locked in on draw size. Let me do this one more time. Again, just kind of getting to that spot. Here we go. There it is. And I don't know if this got masked somehow. Here we go. Oh, you know what's happening is that I have mask polygroup on, right? And so that's what it's doing. So I'm just going to say do nothing for this, for polygons, and then, oh, so it's having a problem because it says it's non-symmetrical. Not a problem. This is still a symmetrical object, so I'm just going to mirror and weld it from one side to the other. And I can do all of these things because it's just one subdivision level. All right, so that's done. And now we should have symmetric on both sides. And I can just drop these edge loops over here and just create a bunch of them, maybe about that many. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing again with just masking this stuff. So I'm going to turn masking back on, mask, polygroup island. Of course, now, am I on what? Mask polygroup island? Nope. Yep. Here we go. Nope. All right. Again, it's doing that weird thing. And again, it doesn't really matter, because I can just block select this stuff. Maybe, let me try this. I don't know if there's a mix-up, but this will clear it. So I'm going to just select these inside polygroups. And I'm going to try and get this other one too. It's going to be tricky, but I'll get it. I think it's a different polygroup, isn't it? It should be. No, I don't know if it is. Yeah, it's okay, not a problem. And then what I'm going to do is just mask this one like so, and then bring the other one back. And I want to shrink that mask a little bit, so I'm just going to go to masking. And I think, do I have those here? I do, but they're over on the right. Okay, I'll just shrink it. So shrink mask, and that just basically is giving you a little bit more room over here. And then I'm just going to hit that with a polish just to get that to be smoother, deformation, and polish. Here we go. Well, somebody was asking how you can get the previous episode, so here, I'll bring it up. YouTube. Got a link to it right here. Let me see. All right, here we go. We're back. All right, catching up on previous episodes. You can do that by going to Pixelogic's ZBrush channel, and then you can go to here, if you go to live, it's chronological, so you can see that the previous one is right here, and then you can just go back a couple other Fridays. Here's another one, and so you can just kind of go through this list and find all of the different previous ones. You can also, of course, search, so you can just go and search by name or by Kermaco. So I'll just type Kermaco like that. And you can kind of see all the different stuff I've done. I've done multiple seasons, so there's quite a few things you can watch of mine. So hopefully that answers that question. Sorry for the weird thing that just happened with the, with the screen kind of, the chat kind of just going away. That's very, very strange. It's been happening quite a few times today during my stream, and I don't know why. So hopefully it's not a big deal. All right, so I'm just kind of making this wider. And then you can kind of see here that I've got some stretched polygons, but I can just hit that with the relax smooth. And I'm going to let this save just because we've done a lot of work. I don't want it to go to waste. All right, let's see. Okay, so I mean, it looks like there's some janky topology in here, but that's fine because what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to dynamesh this thing. So to dynamesh it, I need to figure out what the resolution is. So I'm just going to go down here, click and drag from resolution, and it's about, looks like it's about 1080. I'll just double that, 2048, and let's dynamesh that. So that's just going to give me a dynamesh. It's going to try and close those holes. Let me see if I can keep the groups before I do that. So dynamesh, let's keep the groups. Let's do it again. Okay, so I've got different groups here, so I don't really, it's easy for me to just delete this. But it looks like the resolution is less. So I'm going to just crank the resolution all the way up to 4096, keep groups, and then just dynamesh it that way. And hopefully, right, here we go. And we do have different groups, I think, in here. Wow, we got a big kind of mess of stuff happening in there, but that's fine. So I'm just going to select this. Hopefully, oh, select this group. Let's see. Hopefully there's a, there we go. Okay, so these are the things that I don't need, but I need the rest of it. So I'm just going to invert that. So I still have the holes in there, don't I? No. All right, some weird stuff's happening over here. So I'm just going to go before the dynamesh. I think I have the resolution way too high. Actually, I don't know if yeah. I think I'm going to try and keep the resolution at about maybe 22,000. Let's just do that. And I don't want any blur. Keeps bumping the resolution down. I'm just going to do this in the menu. It'll be more precise. Dynamesh 48, no blur, keep groups, dynamesh. Okay, there we go. And then I'm just going to select this one. Yeah, I think it's kind of closing it twice somehow. So I'm going to do this differently, which is choose a smaller resolution. Let's see what that gives us. It's funny because it's giving us what we had, plus it's giving us some inside parts too, which I don't really get why it's doing that, but that's fine. Okay, so the other option is I'm going to go ahead and ZRemesh it at maybe the same number of polygons, and I'm going to say detect edges, and let's see how good of a fidelity that is. I'm not keeping the groups for this because I don't need to, and hopefully this will give me what I need. It's probably going to take a little bit longer though, so we'll just wait for a little bit. Actually, not bad. It came back pretty fast. All right. So that's good. This is kind of more of what I want. And this is kind of the thing that I talked about earlier, which is if I want to retry this, I can just click on retry and it won't take as long. And it will give me another way of doing this. So you can see here, before I kind of was drinking my tea, but this kind of iteration of it happened a lot faster. Oops. All right, so let me kind of get these edges to be a little bit smoother, like that. And I think I got those windows to be a little bit too deep. Yeah, that's just way too deep. So I'm gonna just go back to about there and do this whole process again, ZRemesh it, but this time I'm gonna keep the groups. And I'm going to actually just make two groups. So there's one group and then there's the other one. So this, oops, I'm just going to Control W. So the inside part is a group and the outside part is a group. And I'm going to ZRemesh, but keep the groups this time. Detect edges, same, ZRemesher. This is still going to take a bit of a while because we kind of redid the previous ZRemesh. But if I want to do ones after this, I can do that with the retry. Okay, that's kind of okay. I'm not really liking what's happening here. So I'm going to try the retry, see if it gives me something better. Yeah, so it says it's changed. If you're trying a subtool, we're disregarding these changes. Say we want to remesh the updated subtool. That's what I want to do. Here we go. This is a little bit better, but I still don't like it. So I'm going to retry it again. And I don't know if I've got, I think I do. To have symmetry on, I do. Okay, so this kind of keeps getting more and more deep here, which is not something I want. So I'm just going to move it up. Help ZRemesher along here. And establish the type of shape that I want, and then do it again. See if I get something better. It's struggling with this area. Also, it seems like I'm losing some of that detail that I had on here. So one of the nice things about ZBrush is I've got this time machine. I can go all the way back to when I had that detail, like about here. I'll just kind of go right before I ZRemeshed. Kind of see what's happening over here. And I'm just going to make a copy of this. And I can use that copy to reproject and paste. Okay, I should have just done duplicate, but I'll just do a copy and paste. Okay, there it is. And now I'm just going to move the time slider back. But before I do that, when I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and maybe turn adaptive off. And let's see if that gives us something better. Again, this area was kind of the area I didn't really like the topology of. Okay, it still kind of did that same funky thing over here. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's see if everywhere else is fine. Everywhere else seems really good. I don't know why it's just kind of freaking out in this one area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another mirror and weld here, just kind of to make sure I've got exact symmetry. And then I'm going to try and double the resolution. Let's see if that gives us something better. Detect edges, keep groups. And I'm going to turn keep groups off too. I don't really care. Let's see if that gives us something better. All right, definitely better. I can definitely see kind of an edge loop going around this, which is good. It put the pole over here. Awesome, awesome, awesome sauce. All right. Okay, so I have what I had before, but I have better topology, and I can just add one more subdivision level here and have this be perfectly manipulatable. And then I'm just going to hit the corners here with Damien Standard and the edges with H polish just to straighten things out a bit, like so. All right. You guys are all very quiet today. There's quite a few on here, I don't know why you're being so quiet. If you guys can just give me 1 second here, I need to just send a quick Slack to somebody. Um, Okay, sorry about that. I just had to send this out. Okay, so back to this. So now I've got a well topologized object. It's lost some of its details. I was going to reproject everything back on, but it looks like it's good enough. And I can just kind of maybe tighten up, crispen up some of these edges manually, but I think it's good enough not to have to deal with reprojecting the previous one. Okay, so now that I've got this, I've got kind of the holes created for the windows. Go down to the lower subdivision level, and you know, the windows are cut out this way, which is how the metal would be cut. So there's this kind of lip here, and I don't know if that shows up in the Star Wars movies. Oh, one other thing I also wanted to mention is that this design, I kind of started looking into it, was created by Joe Johnston. So here's kind of the sketch that he did of it. I think there's a couple other ones. Here's this one where it's kind of walking. So it's really interesting. Here's one more. And it's really interesting how this kind of developed from this to being what it is. So kudos to Joe Johnston for creating this design for Star Wars. It's awesome. All right. Right, so we're up to 34 people watching. Right, there it is. So yeah, so now it kind of looks like there's a lip, and it looks a lot better. And now let's add those windows back, which I think are here. And I'm going to turn transparency on so I can see what's behind the windows, and there they are. And am I on the windows? Nope. So let's move those. And those are like really simple geometry right now. So I'm just going to move them into place. They already do have thickness, and pretty soon I'm going to subdivide this and kind of put some stuff on it. So that's kind of what they're going to look like. Let me turn transparency off. Okay, so they are a little bit too big. Oops. Let's turn transparency back on and ghost off, and let's see if I can make these even tighter. And there's a lot of ambulances going around me. Hopefully everything's okay. Okay, here we go. All right, so now I just want to take this and turn smooth off, divide it a few times, turn smooth on, divide it a few times more. And I've got, let's see, I've got decent resolution on it, and I have to figure out a pattern to put on this. So again, I'm going to go to my mask, which I think it's still there. Yep. And figure out what kind of pattern I want to put. Of course, the obvious one is going across like this. So if I were, you know, if I were making this thing, like how would I make it so that it wasn't as heavy, but it was also reinforced? So having a border around it is a good idea. So I'm just kind of masking the inverse of what I want to mask. Like so. Maybe I'm not going to do it that way. Let's see. I still haven't determined. Maybe I'll just kind of do a line like that. And as you can see here, the topology is kind of wonky. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Just because I've got thin, long polygons here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ZRemesh these. So I'm just going to go here, delete lower, and just ZRemesh and make it one polygroup. And then just ZRemesh it. Let's keep the same number of polygons, and we'll just kind of stick with that. Here we go. Did I keep the groups? Nope. I kind of got rid of the groups. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I want I don't want the thickness. I'm going to re-add the thickness just because I want to so I'm just going to select, ooh, it's not straight. Okay. Not a problem. Do I have local off? That's what's going on. I'm like all over the place because I don't have local off. Right. F, okay, and zoom out. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to are there polygons here? There are. I wonder if I can just do it with an edge loop. Delete edge loop. There you go. Edge loop complete. Where are you? Delete or yeah, poly loop. That's what I want. Sorry. Okay, and just do this like that, and then I'm just going to get rid of these two islands in the back. Island, bam, right, and then just kind of place this here and just flatten this thing completely by using scale. And then now I'm going to ZRemesh it. Let's keep it the same, and there are no groups, so it doesn't matter. So here's the ZRemesh of this, and I can probably go down in a poly count. So I'm just going to go to half and ZRemesh. That's good, and I think I'll just start from here. Is there a loop going around? It is. I'll just kind of group loop the edge of it one more time, just for kicks. Just with one edge loop. No. Two. And not as much polish. Let's do 3 loops. Okay, Control W. So that just kind of gives me these nice edges. And yeah, so now I can just give it thickness. I'm just going to do that with dynamic, and then just decrease this, and give it just a little bit of thickness here. So interesting thing is I'm getting these kind of artifacts, and that's because some of these edges are not completely straight. So I'm going to do that thing again where I just basically get this on planar on the polygons here and just straighten it out by using this scale. And now it should work. It still has a few anomalies. I'm going to try and just see if I can smooth them with shift. Looks like it is moving them, but it's not really completely doing what I need it to do. All right, well, I'm going to try this exact same thing without doing what I did before, which is adding the group loops. I think there is an edge loop going around, so I think that's good enough. So let's see if that works. Okay, dynamic, add some thickness. Wow, that's even worse. All right. Okay, so I'm going to, it also looks like this already has a thickness, so I'm just going to go back to its original shape. Press W. I'm going to do this one last time here just to make sure it's all planar. And the edges, there's nothing masked, right? So this should work. Dynamic and with a little bit of thickness. Oh, that's why I've got QGrid on. I didn't want QGrid on. Yeah, that will give me a perfect edge. Check that out. Okay, so let me do that a little bit more thickness. Maybe like that. And let's add a few segments here. There we go. That's good. And so that's basically going to be the window. And then now, let me see if I can sculpt on this. And let's choose this brush. Yep, that's good enough. Is it still on dynamic? It is. So I don't want to apply this yet, but I'm going to turn it off because I just want to sculpt on here and then add the thickness into it. Okay, so now I just have to determine what kind of pattern I want on here. So, oops, I'll make that bigger. And let's go ahead and choose masking. So I was kind of thinking maybe just a line like this, but that'll look too much like eyebrows. Let's try the good old something like that. Could be cool. Or maybe something like there's a reinforced by the edges type of a pattern. I'm just kind of throwing ideas around here, but that looks like it's dead, so that's not working. All right. So then maybe we'll just do a kind of just a slight border like that. I'm going to go to let me subdivide this one a couple more times. I'm going to go to mask curve here and just do these with curves. There, bam, that's the top. And then here is this side. And this one. And this one. And last but not least, this one. Oops. It's going to be a tough one because of the mirroring, so I'm just going to do this one by hand. Let's go back to mask pen. Somebody asked me today, do you need to know how to draw to be able to do CG stuff? And my answer is depends. Okay, why is this still on dynamic? It is. Turn it off. And I think it kind of went away from my brush, my mask brush, so I'll bring that back. It was just on the standard move. And for this, I'm just going to turn it around because it's easier for me to draw the line this way. Choose a smaller brush here. Oops. All right, and now I'm just going to invert that mask and do this to it. A little bit more. Like that. Then I'm going to go back to small brush size. Again, it's probably easier for me to do it horizontally. There, and then just blur that. And I'm going to do this with the menu. Under masking, not surface, but mask, 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 mask. And what I want to do is blur the mask and then sharpen it, blur it, and sharpen it. That kind of gives me a little bit straighter edges. Still not doing what I need. There, and then the rest I could do with the mask curve. The inside part is kind of what I fixed, and now I go back to mask curve. It's too much. All right, I think that's good enough. And then just kind of smooth this and hit it on the outside, and then just move this part forward. Like so. I think I need to blur the mask a little bit more. Here we go. So I can get some sort of a lip light right there. That's good. Just kind of helping this along sculpturally. Actually, I've got a better way of doing this. I don't know why I didn't think about it earlier. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the grow and shrink thing, which is under, I think, display properties. No, under visibility. Where is visibility? Here we go. And I'm going to just select that outside edge loop, turn dynamic off, and go down to subdivision level 1. And I'm going to polygroup the poly loop of the outside of this. And that's kind of why you want to have this type of a loop on the outside. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this polygroup like so. I'm wondering, are you guys hearing any thumping in your in the audio at all? If you are, I just have some noise, ambient noise from the outside that's kind of causing it. All right, so I've just selected this, and then I'm just going to go here and grow it out like that. And I'm just going to mask this part. Oops. I'm just going to mask the whole thing. Let me go back to mask pen. There it is. And then when I show everything, there's that mask. I'm just going to blur that mask a bit. And I'll do that under masking, blur, sharpen. And that gets me a more precise kind of angle of what I want. And then I'm just going to push this out a little bit like so. It's going to have janky edges here, but that's fine. When I go up in subdivision levels, it's still going to be janky, and that's fine still. But what I can do is kind of in the middle of this, I can remove some of that stair-stepping. And if I do this, I can just make it completely go away. and give me kind of what I wanted, which is just something that's more reinforced in the middle. Like so, and then go one subdivision level more and just refine it. I think that kind of works. Let's see it on the thing without transparency. Yep, I think that works good. And now what I have to do is do the dynamics of div that gives it the thickness. And I want to increase that a little bit more. Try 0.008. I think that's good. Big hard plates, kind of to shield the people when they are in there. Okay, and now I can see kind of these edges are a little bit softer than these ones. So just to kind of make things work a little bit better, I'm going to try and see if I can hit this thing with some polish, crisp edges, and see if that gives me a better result. Maybe go down in subdivision level and try that. Oh, that's actually a little bit better. That works for me, and I'm just going to go ahead and clip a little bit here in the front just to kind of get this to be straighter. Are these angled by any chance? They are. That's okay. I can just use H polish to do it. Wow, there's a lot of people on here and nobody's talking. Just want to bring this top one down a little bit. Okay. All right, so we've got these kind of as the plates. Now we have to think about how these attach. And I think I might use some kit bash parts for that. Let me see if I have some in my existing kit bash that I have in here. Again, this is kind of my own kit bash kit that I made ages ago. And I'm going to see if there's like a hinge type of thing here that will work. Oh, look, there's some really tiny things in here. What are these? Wow. Don't know. All right, this looks like a hinge right here. This will do. Let's do this one. Just 1 second. Let me see if I can get this thumping to go down a bit. All right. All right, so there's kind of the hinge, and I'm going to use kit bash duplicate. There it is. And copy. Move over to here and paste. There it is. You know, the size is okay, but it's probably way up front. So let's bring it in. Right, there it is. Something like that. All right, let's see if this can come out a little bit more. All right, that works. And then the front is kind of a little bit pushing this down, pushing it in. Looks great. And then put another one over here. All right. Let's mirror these to the other side. Here we go. We've got hinges for these. And I think the, oops, should turn symmetry on. This one can be a little bit more there. Right there, that's perfect. Okay, so we've got the hinges for them, and so that's done. The other thing I kind of want to do is just create a little bit of a border that goes around the window. So I'm just going to go to Dam Standard. Actually, I'm going to use Dam Orb Cracks for that. And pump up the lazy radius on it a little bit for the lazy mouse, and just drop that down like this. I'll turn this to Z sub, just because I just want to not be holding down Alt when I do this. There it is. And this is just kind of creating a little bit of a border around the window. Like so. Okay, here we go. That works. That, there's that, there's that. All right. Okay, so let's see what that looks like on the inside. So I'm just going to go to here, go to the windows, hide them, hide the hinges. Just 1 second. Again. Okay, here we go. That's done. All right, what other things did I want to do? I think that's okay. I'm kind of thinking of maybe paneling out this part here too, but I wonder if that would be, let's see what it would look like. I'm actually going to just try that out first. I'm going to do it with paint. So I'm just going to go to my paintbrush here, which is over here as well. And then I'm going to pick this color right here. And oops. Let me just fill this with white first, and then pick this color and just paint that color. It kind of looks like it's masking it, but it's actually poly paint. I guess I could have masked it just to see too. I just want to see what this looks like paneled out instead of it being integrated into that piece. And it'll be a good way for me to show you how I do the paneling. So let me go to solo here, straighten this out. Pick this as the outer color so I can do this. Here we go. All right, let's see how that looks, if it adds to the shape or no. What do you guys think? Do you like it better this way or without? So the options are this or this. Where this part has this gray. Nobody's saying anything. I'll wait a couple of minutes here. Maybe you guys are thinking. I think I'm going to do it. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to refill this object with white, and I'm just going to do this trick. And I need to get my masking brush back. This one. And I'm just going to do this whole area. So that's what I did earlier, but the only difference is I'm masking instead of painting. Okay, so the first thing I do is just mask the area. Now, I don't know if this is going to work. I think it will. I've got this plugin called Extract Pro. They'll just pull out that piece like that, and then I just go in, clean it up. I think I probably can get rid of one edge loop on the outside here, which is kind of nice. Delete poly loop. Okay, that gives me kind of a little bit of a smaller piece. And then I'm just going to use this other plugin that I got, which is called Extrude Keep. Where are you? Extrude Keep Subdivisions or something like that. Where are you? Extrude Keep Subdiv, this one. So let's try that. And looks like it did it, but it's not thick enough. Another thing I'm thinking of doing is maybe pulling this out just a little bit like that. And let's do this again. Okay, so the elevation is -100, so it's going inward. That's fine. I can see how thick it is. Wow, that's super, super thick. Super, super wild. Okay, so I don't need that much thickness. So 0.1. I'm going to let that autosave just because we did quite a bit of work. I can't see anybody's in the chat. Are you guys seeing this? I don't know if it just dropped everybody from the chat or what happened. Something went wrong. Reload, and it's probably going to ask me to log in again. Nope. Here we go. Yeah, something is up with Restream. All right. Extract Pro is not part of ZBrush, Irene. It's a third-party plugin that you can get from the ArtStation store. So there's a free version and there's a paid-for version. So here, if you go to ArtStation, and I think there's Gumroad too, if you're a Gumroad person, whatever. Go to the shop and look for Extract Pro. Is that the shop? Marketplace. Oh, they have a sale going on now. So let me type in Extract Pro ZBrush. No results. Oh. Sign in here real quick. What is going on? All right, it's not showing up. I don't know why, but you know, basically just do what I just said. Extract and ZBrush. Is it not on here anymore? I mean, sometimes they drop products, so maybe it's not on here. Maybe I'll just Google it. How about that? Here we go. All right, so here it is. So there's two versions, I think. So if you go to this one, this is the person, Artem Dubrova, I guess, is the person who makes it. So there's Extract Plus, which is $1.59, and then there's the Pro version, which is $3.99. So that's what I'm using. And then Extract Duplicate is the other one. It's funny that Google searches their site better than they do. Okay, and then the other one is the other thing that I used was this one right here, which is Extrude Keep Subdiv. And I don't know if that one's for sale. Let's try that one. Yep, there it is. And this one, yeah, this one's a little bit more. It's $5.39. But I found these two plugins to be indispensable for what I use. So you guys can pick them up if you are wanting to do things like this. I should also mention that all the things that these plugins are doing are in ZBrush. So if you don't want to spend the money, you can probably figure out how to do these things without having to pay for the script. All right, so what I'm going to do here is undo that, move this out so I can kind of see what thickness is happening. And I want to go for 0.004 for thickness. Let's see if that's a better one. It is better, more or less, but still not what I want. So I'm going to go a little bit more, 0.006. And let's do that again. There it is. And what's nice about this also is that it doesn't close it out. So the inside part here, I'll double this so you can see. So the inside part, it doesn't create a thickness. It just creates kind of this like border. If you do, like this one's kind of got a little bit of wonk to it, but you can fix all that with going to deformation and polish by groups and just a little bit of polish. Let's try it again. Let's just do regular polish. Yeah, regular polish just does that, which is perfect. This is exactly what I want. It was a little bit too much, so I'm just going to do Let's try polish crisp edges. Okay, here we go. That's exactly what I want right there. So added that kind of nice little bevel. And now I just need to move this back in. And it doesn't have some of the sharp features, so I'm going to add those with just using the move brush and turning on AccuCurve and just sharpening these edges a little bit more. So I just want this kind of to be down here. So here it's kind of like doing a little bit of sculpting on top of the geometry just to get it to do exactly what I want it to do. So I need to go there. I want to make sure I don't stretch the geometry too much. Some of these round corners here I didn't really want, so I'm going to sharpen them just by, again, using that AccuCurve component. There's that. Oh, well, all right. So, oh, am I typing in the wrong? I'm so sorry, Reckless. I guess I was typing in the wrong box. Oh, okay. Thanks. All right. Yeah, no, I mean, ArtStation has, I have my website on ArtStation. They're a great website. I don't mean to, say that their search wasn't good. Of course, the error was between the seat and the keyboard. So I take full responsibility and apologize for not searching in the right box. All right, I'm going to turn polyframe off on this. Okay, so this is looking okay. And then I'm just going to give it a subdivision level here and just use H-polish to just kind of get more of a mechanical kind of piece to this. So it's kind of just determining the planes, the hard surface planes that it's going to be on. Like that. Okay, and I also want to make sure I color it the darker colors, so I'm going to do that next to pick that color, fill object, and pick this as the white color and just switch these back and forth. And I'm just going to see if this is going to work the way I want it to. I think this part's a little bit too high. Here we go. And looks like I did the top part, but not over here. And for this, I mean, it's always good to kind of use maybe basic material too, because you get a little bit of that kind of specular over here, and you can kind of see things and how light is going to bounce off of that surface. So here I'm just kind of giving it a little bit more of a there. Right, and then I just want to lift this part up because it's kind of like a handle, so I'm just going to mask that part. Okay, so blur and sharpen that mask, and then this part here, I'm going to invert the mask and fix this part where I don't want it to be at that deep of an angle, but maybe something like this. Okay, that's better. And then just put the gizmo there and just pop that out a bit. Did I pop it in instead? Okay, so let me check on something one more time. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm liking this, but then it's kind of too rounded, and I want it to be more faceted, so I can fix that as well by just using the clipping brush. So I'm just going to bring all of that out and create some sharper corners here. My voice is starting to go. Like I said, I had construction at my place this week, so a lot of dust and stuff that makes me cough. All right. So I'm just straightening out these edges a little bit. Hit it with H polish. All right, let's see how this looks now. Looks a little bit better. But there's a weird kind of thing happening here that I need to figure out. Maybe extend this one out a little bit more. That works. And so I've got to figure out the planes of this. All right. Can somebody just say something in the chat? I just want to make sure it's working. This has been kind of spotty today. Okay, cool. Thank you. Irene and Reckless American. Reckless American. All right, so here I'm going to try and get this to work, and I'm going to try, oops, it's too much, to see if this trick works. Yep. Is Dynameshed? It is. What is all this crap over here? I don't want that. meshing this one more time. Start getting rid of this little bit of noise it's creating. And delete hidden. Here we go. Yeah, I don't know what that is from. Maybe I just stretched something I shouldn't have. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better. Move. Oh wow, it's 8:30 already. Jeez. Time flies during these things. I'm kind of having fun today, so I might go a little bit more. Oh, thank you. The person who said it looks cool. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. All right, that kind of seems to work. Go over there, unmask that. All right, yeah, that kind of created a nice little feature over here. So again, this is not the exact same thing. It's more of a homage or fan art, or I don't know what you want to call it, but it's just me reimagining the ATST. So, you know, big kudos to the person who designed it. Of course, they also the redesign is pretty cool. But I think using it as a study and kind of doing my version of it has been kind of a fun process, and we're getting there. It's almost in the finishing stages, more or less. Maybe these are kind of like reactive armor pieces. I don't know. This, I'm still wanting to get this to look a little bit more, here we go, more planar. Okay, let's go back over to here. And is this one that's at subdivision level? Nope, it's not. Here we go. All right. So again, the kind of the most interesting part is going to be this one right here. And I don't know if you guys saw, I also created some lights over here that that I will probably, you know, put some sort of a, you know, shiny, or not shiny, but like some light material on, and then these would be lights over here. And I'm also, I have light strips in here, so that would kind of, you know, create a light beam coming out of this area. It's these pieces right here. So I intend this to be a light, and also also these over here to be lights, and so yeah, I'll probably have to put some kind of I'm forgetting the exact term for it, but there is a, let me choose a redshift material for a minute. Let's choose any one of these, simple plastic, and let's go to material here and modifiers. So emission, yeah, so emissive is the word I was looking for, to put an emissive material on there. All right, saw there was a problem with this piece. It needs to be a little bit longer. Like so on the bottom. I don't know if I want those things to show. Yeah, I do kind of do. Okay, that's good. All right, there's that. And for that piece, I'm going to actually separate this thing out into two different pieces. So let me bring up the topology. So this thing right here is really, really simple. It's got dynamic subdiv on. It's just this very, very simple geometry, and it was in my kit bash. So I just brought it in. But now I just want to separate it out because one part is attached to the top, and then another part is attached to the bottom. And the rotation takes place over here, or maybe a little bit lower. So I need to kind of create that mechanism, because I am going to pose this for sure. Bring this down a bit like that. That's good. And so this is where the separation would be. So I don't want to delete the poly loop. I just want to duplicate this. So I've got two of them. So let me do that first. I want to duplicate the whole folder, just the tool itself. Duplicate, or subtool itself, duplicate. So there's a copy of it. And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm going to delete the top part of one of them. So I'm going to do this. Maybe more of it. All that. Yep. And delete hidden. And I'm going to do the exact opposite on the one over here. So for this one, I'm going to delete the top part. There we go. Okay, and then for this one, I'll lift that up. And for this one, I'm going to bring it down just a little bit and just add some geometry to this, because if I use it exactly the way it is now, it's going to it's going to shrink this part down. So now if I go to D, I've got this kind of more enforced, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom part here. Okay, and then if I bring everything back, now I've got these two as separate parts. So again, I can group this one with the top part, and I'm going to do that right now. So the top is going to go into the hull folder. So I'm just going to drag and drop it into there. And the bottom part is going to be with the midsection over here. So, right, so this part's going to be with the top, and then the other part's going to be with the bottom part of this. Okay, so that's done. And one other thing I wanted to do here is I wanted to maybe on the top part here do something. So I'm just going to add some edge loops. So this is good topology here. So it's going to, if I add edge loops, they're going to, they're going to be, the shape is going to hold its form. All right, so I'm just adding edge loops in between these kind of knobby areas. I think they're going to the knob areas. Oh, gosh, really? If I add one here, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. All right, we're getting there. Okay, so now I've got a little bit more subdivisions in here, and the reason why I did that is because I wanted to select these. So I'm going to turn on radial symmetry for this. So I just have to do it once. So activate symmetry, radial around Y, not X. And I want to select these. I'm just going to go here. It says non-symmetrical. Why is that? This is because, oh, so here, this is something where you can click on local symmetry, and that fixes it. And polygroup. Single poly's fine. This one, not those ones, this one, 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 this one. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to QMesh this polygroup out. QMesh polygroup island. like that. So I just kind of have these knobby things coming down. I think that makes it look more kind of serious. And then I'm going to do the exact opposite on the bottom part. So bring this back up, do the same thing where I'm adding these edges. And I can do this with radial symmetry as well, around Y. So where we're going, oops. Insert edge loops like that. I just did the whole thing that I did earlier in one shot, which is nice. And then we're going to select these ones right here and Q mesh them out like so. And this is what it looks like, which kind of makes it look a little bit more like, you know, these things rotate and there's a logic to them. I don't know if it would make more sense to have them be the same. I'm going to give that a try. So just solo that piece again and do this. I'm basically doing the same thing, but doing it on the part where this knob is. And pull that out a bit like this. D. Let's see what that looks like. I think that looks better. However, I also want to do all this. So polygroups back on. All right, and then this. Pull this out. And I'm going to do it one more time just to kind of add a little bit more reinforcement. Let's see what that looks like if I hit dynamic subdiv. That's good. And I'm going to do the exact same thing to the one on top. All right, so that kind of, you know, I kind of like it without it. So I'm going to undo that design choice and keep it as is. So there's that. Dynamic on this guy. Dynamic on this guy. So that looks good. All right, so we have it going okay. So what I want to do here, just to separate these two out, is I'm going to fill this one with the dark gray color. Like that, just to kind of separate the two out, to just indicate to me that they're two different pieces. And I'm just kind of considering one more thing here. Let's see if that actually is okay, a good idea. So I'm going to solo this out, polyframe it, and I'm going to see if I can pull these out. We do this one first. Okay, and then see if these are all connected, if it creates something more interesting. I think it kind of does. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, so very cool. Oh yeah, totally loving what it did there. Okay, and let me see if I can just hit this with smooth, if that's any better. Nope, I like that little bit of a lip there. I think that's good. Okay, cool. So that's done. I think this part here is done. I don't think I'm going to put anything more in here. In the existing model, there are cables and stuff that happen in there. You can see them over here. But I'm not going to do those because it just seems to me like those are things that can snag, and you know, probably they had those problems with the earlier versions of these things, and now they kind of want to not have those problems. So back to this piece right here. And I want to get this edge here to be a little bit sharper. So I'm just going to do the clip curve like this. And just adjust these like that. And yeah, there it is. And I want want this to be more of kind of a hard clip. So I'm going to chop off that notch in there, and I think I'm going to straighten this out as well. All right. That's a little bit too much. Solo this out. I just want to fix this bottom part. I think maybe the best way to do it is just to mask it. I think symmetry went off. No, it says like symmetry. What's going on? What the hell? Oh, it's got bulk on. Here we go. All right, let's do this to it. Just kind of masking that part. And this is good. I need this back part masked. Blur that mask a bit. And that's by holding Control down. And then I'm just going to invert that mask, and I'm going to pull this part down. Maybe like that, and then just clip curve. To create more of a straighter edge. There. And then I'm just going to hit this with H polish just to kind of get those planes. All right, then I can sculpt on those later. All right. So coming together very nicely. I'm going to bring the windows back just for kicks. All right, that's good. All right, so now I just want to do, let's see how much time do I have. Okay, I've got about 15 minutes. I'll show you guys how I did these things in the back. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that in a different subtool. Let me just do a quick save just so I have this saved. Kind of wanted to do the guns today. I don't know if I'm going to have time. Maybe I'll do a little bit of them afterwards. All right. All right, so now that's saved, what I'm going to do is just go to another tool, and I've got one here, I think. Here we go. This is it. And I'm going to split this to similar parts. And the only reason why I'm doing that is just because I want to save some time. So these things, I think everybody's pretty much able to do these. The way I did them is I just used my brush. So if you guys don't know, I've got a brush set for ZBrush that you can get. Hey Reckless, I don't know when you left, but if you watch this after the fact, buy back. So basically what I did was I'll do it again. I'll do it here. I just went ahead and inserted a Polymesh 3D like this, and then just went to my brush, which I have here somewhere, but I also have it in brushes. This one. And for those of you that are kind of curious as to what this is, let me bring it up to show you. So it's just, if you go to my Gumroad, and I'll show you how to get to my Gumroad too. I've got these primitives brushes. So I've got a free version, and I've also got a paid for version that has some extra brushes on it. So the paid for version has 36 brushes, and if you're not going to use these other kind of specialized brushes, you're perfectly okay with these, and you can do what I'm going to show you with this one as well. And the way to get to this is if you go to my Instagram. So just go to Kermaco, look for Kermaco on Instagram. This is my Instagram over here. If you click on this link tree, it gives you all the links to all my stuff. So my portfolio, my Gumroad, my Instagram, ArtStation, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., etc. So, boy, I kind of wanted to go more, but my voice is just failing. All right, so I can just pick one of these, like let's say this one. So if you go into Move and click on any one of these, it'll replace it with that one. So here is this, right? And what I want to do here is just get rid of this edge loop right here and this one right here. Okay, and then what I want to do is I want to make this thinner. So the way I do that is just go to Mask, Circle, Mask Perfect Circle like this. And when you do that, you basically mask this part out. But I'm going to invert the mask, so the inside part is the only thing that's selected. And then if you hold this and hold Control, you can choose the thickness of it, right? And then you just kind of make the whole thing thinner. And that's how you create a ring, right? And you can do it with the initialize in ZBrush too. Like you can just go in here and you can choose, I think, cylinder 3D, and it gives you some options to create something like this. So basically, I just created two rings that look like that. Have some funky polygrouping going on them. I delete this one. I don't need it anymore. Okay, and I'm going to bring this count down to maybe about 8. Okay, so then there's this shape right here, and I'll show you how to make that shape. It's pretty cool. You just go to Insert. Okay, and then what you want to do, before you do insert, just go to Spiral 3D. So Spiral 3D is just one of the objects here, right? And this object is not yet a polygon. It's just a kind of a, what's the best way to say it? It's a parametric object, I guess. And then if you go to initialize, you get all these options of what you can do with it. So I'm going to make a different one than I did before. I'm going to make one that has a little bit more fold. So let's say it's a kind of a thinner thing, but it's kind of rolled up a little bit more than what I had. Okay, so there it is. And let's say I go to, let's say 2000 on this. Okay, and then what's this H? Oh, hollow. Want to make it hollow? No. Well, let's see. What does hollow do? Okay, doesn't matter. There's this, and then I've got the thickness like this, right? And I want the thickness to be the same on both. So I'm going to go to, let's go to 40. And 40 as well. That's too much. Let's go to 30. Is it making it thicker? Do I have to go up in number? Yes, so let's try 50 and 50. Nope, this is not doing what I want it to do. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to make the thickness here. Looks like thinner is better. Okay, let's go to 10. And let's go to 10 here too and see what we get. Okay, so this is kind of what I want, so that's good. So the radius, you can make it a little bit thicker like that. That's good. Oh, the thickness is the edges. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I just had to put them as a number. I don't want this displaced at all. I just kind of want it to be, see, this is the displacement. I want that to be 0, so it's all on the one plane. Okay, no twist, nothing else. 16 is good. Subdividing this way, I'm going to go to maybe 100. Let's do 128. Okay, so that's kind of okay. And then what I want to do here is I want to actually make this thing. So to make it, I'm just going to go ahead and go here and say make polymesh 3D. Okay, so it did. Now there's like this kind of funk happening over here that I don't want. So I can get rid of that. I just find it a good place for this. And I'm just going to go ahead and actually I'm just going to smooth it. Like that. Okay, so there it is. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to make this thing so it's facing X. So right now this is facing Z. I just want to rotate it this way and rotate it this way. And I'm going to do a mirror and weld just to make sure that it is the same on both sides of this. And there it is. Okay, so now what I want to do is go hit the gizmo and go to the gear and choose extender. And I'm just going to extend this out. So this is basically just creating that mat for me, right? And I'm just going to extend that out about there. I think that's the most it will go, which is fine because I can scale it afterwards. And then I want to add some subdivisions in here. So I just go in here, and where are the subdivisions? Are these them? Nope. These, yeah. So I want to add some Y resolution. So I'm just adding some edge loops here. Notice that the edge loops are creased. If I don't want them to be creased, what does this do? Yeah, I don't want that. I thought there was a thing that turned creasing on and off. Maybe not. Okay, it doesn't matter. I can uncrease later. So I just basically will create this. Now I'm creating a little bit more geometry than I want, just because I'm going to make this wider after I'm done. So here we go. I'm going to, where is the add thing? Was this it? No. It. Oh, here's the, yeah, I can turn creasing off. This is it. It's this cone right here. And then one more thing here is like the number of these things that I'm going to add, I think are, it's this one, is it? No, that's the Y size. That's the extender. And I think it's this one right here. Okay, so I want to add like about maybe that many spans. Okay, and then I'm just going to accept this and then make it a bit wider like that. I just want these to be more square shaped because I'm going to subdivide them. Okay, so there it is. There's my mat. Okay, and so I'm going to copy this and load it into here, paste. Okay, so I've got the mat and I've got the rings. I don't want that older one, so here we go. And the rings are, I just want the rings to be a little bit bigger than this thing because it's going to fit in there. So I can make this smaller too, either way. But I just want this to kind of fit inside of these rings. Like so. Okay, and now all I got to do is go into dynamics. So here, let me just subdivide. Well, I can dynamically subdivide it. So I'm going to do that. Geometry, dynamic subdiv, do that. So now I've got a smoother object, and that's good. I'm just going to leave it at that. And then I'm going to go into dynamics here, and I'm going to do a few things. First of all, I'm going to turn gravity off for now. And then I'm going to say calculate collision volume. So now it's going to calculate these rings as the collision volume. I'm going to inflate and expand this. And then I'm going to turn gravity back on, but give it very little gravity. And then turn floor collision off, turn collision in between with itself off, which is here. And add a little bit of firmness to this, maybe 3. And let's just run that simulation. Wow, that's kind of flying along. So I'm going to subdivide it just once, just to slow that simulation down a bit. Of course, I could also do other things in here to do that. And here we go. So there is that, doing exactly what I need, kind of really, really quickly. So there's that. Now, if I want more gravity, and I could just add a little bit more gravity to this. So let's go to 2. Okay, I don't know why expand is not working as well as I'd like it to. Maybe I need to subdivide it one more time. Recalc this and run the simulation. Okay, I don't think I need to subdivide it. I just need to wait a little bit more. And okay, so the self collision here thing is like kind of not working too well. So I'm going to lower that a little bit. All right. I'm going to turn dynamic off and give this thing a couple of subdivisions and try this again. Oh. Right, you're kind of seeing the kind of cool little wrinkles that I want over here. I'm going to actually get the gravity strength to be even more. I'm going to go to 3. You can kind of see a little bit of sagging over here. That's good. I'm still not getting, I mean, I'm getting some really cool kind of folds over here, but I'm not getting them where I want them to be. So I'm going to try and go manual on this and go to transpose cloth and just try and see if I can manually cause some of this stuff to happen. And it seems like yes. Okay, so I'm just going to go this way a bit and then go out. Oop. Okay, I think I have... I'm just going to stick with 2 subdivision levels, and I'm going to try and do this the manual way like that. Maybe 1 more subdivision level. Okay, so I'm going to help it along a little bit just by going down in subdivision levels and getting these parts that jotted out back in. Right, let's go back up. Okay, 1 more. And all I'm doing is just kind of pushing those polys back inside the rings. And then once I'm done with that, I'll try and simulate it a little bit more. Now, one of the other things also is I want this inside part to kind of be pointing this way. Here we go. All right, so let's do this one more time here. Let's get these inside of the rings. All right, there it is. And then just run the simulation again. Let's see what we get. Right, it's still kind of not giving me the things that I want, so I have yet another way to do this, and that is by using some of these brushes. So I'm going to use cloth hook, go down in subdivision levels, and try and manually do some of this. Maybe even do this, use the cloth pinch. Yeah, I think maybe I chose too many different layers on the inside because it's kind of giving me a little bit more trouble, but I basically use the same thing, and I don't really want this to be inflated that much. So I'm going to try something else here. Let's see if this works. Deflate it. Here we go. Yeah, baby, that's how to do it. Run simulation again. I'm getting these amazing folds. Stop the simulation. And just hit it with smooth a little bit. Yeah, I'm getting all sorts of interesting folds here. And then I'm going to try the inflate one more time. There we go. That's it right there. Now I want to do one other thing. I'm going to go down here and go to subdivision level 2. I think will be good enough for this. And I'm going to delete all the higher subdivision levels. And then if I give this thing a cloth pattern, and it looks like this is kind of cinched out pretty a lot. So I'm just going to go here and turn dynamic back on. And let's go ahead and turn micro poly on and choose that. Let's see what that looks like. Here we go. That's it right there. Bam. Now I'm going to go back to the move brush here, just regular transpose. and just kind of nudge these into place. And yeah, there it is. Right, so I kind of like this a little bit more than what I had before. I'm just gonna apply a little bit of smoothing to the top here. Yeah, and that's how you do it. So yeah, so it's kind of a cool way to just kind of create these types of bundles, and I'll kind of put a few of these on the Mech itself. All right, so let's copy this whole thing. So I'm gonna merge it down. Copy it. And go back here and paste it. Like so, there it is. I don't know why it's so small. I'll just unify this. Oh, did it bring it in? Oh, there it is. It's in the middle. And just kind of create these and put them, you know, on here. Just kind of, these are maybe, again, like a parachute or a camouflage or something, you know, that they, you know, that they carry with them. So I think I made too much of a spiral over here. I went full Junji Ito on it. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a comic book artist, Japanese comic book artist, did a really cool spiral cartoon. So, but I think the ones I had before kind of work a little bit better, so I'm going to keep those. But I wanted to just go through and show you guys how I do these things, and they're probably useful for you to use as well. All right, I think I'm just going to leave it here. I might do a little bit of work on this off screen, but I think we're getting there. And then the next thing to do is rename everything and pose it and group it in such a way where I can pose it. And then once we're done with posing, we'll render it. So just before I end the stream, I'm going to go ahead and choose redshift material, turn redshift rendering on. Up here, it's on already. I have a bit of a floor over here for it. I'm going to bring that up. Like so, and let's do a render, see what it looks like with a full render. There it is, click BPR. And this new Dell workstation that I have does this render pretty fast, and actually I'm gonna break into that and turn perspective on. It creates a better render that way. And let's do a few things here. I'm going to change the light around. Totally forgot to do that. So here, light, and we're going to put this to 001, and then we're going to turn on a background. So let me go import a HDR. How about let's do this one. Okay, and let's go ahead and kick it off. I'm using a focal length of 100 here. That's pretty fast for it to determine the global illumination, and here it goes. Doing the bucket render, pretty fast. And this is an 83 million poly model, so not bad. All right, there's that render, and I just want to do a little bit of a touch up on this. I want to go into the render menu, go to adjust in the adjustments, and maybe kick up that contrast a bit. Let's see if that makes it any better. Yeah, so that's, I kind of like that a little bit more. It's a little bit tilted. I'm going to redo the render, so I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. And these kinds of things that I'm doing right now work really well with the Space Mouse. So when I do the render, I will connect up my Space Mouse and use it for that. All right, so let's kick off another render. Again, it goes a lot faster the second time around. And there it is. And this is happening while I am streaming. So you can just realize how ripping fast this machine is. And it's not even top of the line. So at some point I'll get one of those and see how that works. But yeah, there it is. Right? So it's coming together. So a little bit more work on the hull, add the cannons. Maybe I'll do that next time. And then we will go ahead and finish it with a nice pose and a nice render. All right. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to mention here that I looked at my YouTube count here on ZBrush live, and I noticed that my last one that I did had 2.2k views. That's quite a bit. So I want to thank every single one of those people who viewed my video. Hopefully you will get more people watching these ones, and I don't know how many people are watching it on Twitch. So it always helps me if you guys go and drop a like on it if you watch it. So 85 people have done it. Thank you very much. But if you could also like them, and also you can add any other type of comments, then I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so yeah. Thanks again for watching, and again, tune in a couple of Fridays when we will take this a little bit further. And I think we're pretty close here to being done with it. So maybe a couple more episodes and we will have a finished mech and render. And then we can move on to the next project, which is going to be a character. And I'm going to be connecting it to Character Creator and doing all sorts of fun stuff. So once again, thank you for tuning in, and hope you have a good day or night or whatever time of day it is where you are. And